Have you ever noticed that people have babies and get married all at the same time? Well, not all at the same time. Usually those two are not necessarily at the same exact time, but you know, all your friends are having babies at one time, or they're all having grandchildren, or everybody's getting married. It just seems to go in waves, right? So here's some cute little things that I did, and it was really simple because I used the serger. So this is a little bib, and you can use any pattern for a bib. I did it the easy way though. I used the new AccuQuilt die, and it cut out the pieces for me. Fabulous. So then all I had to do is stitch it. And then I have a little burp cloth. And then I did a little reversible blanket. And this is really cool because all I did is take yardage. You know, the fabric was 42 inches wide, so I took and did 42 inches in length, and then just rounded the corners using a really fancy tool, a dinner plate, and then just serge around it, and you have a great little receiving blanket that's really a nice size, so it'll take the kid up to older than just an infant. It's great to throw in a stroller and all that sort of stuff. So those are some fun things, but I want to show you some tips when you're working on the serger for doing something like this. It goes really fast and easy because you have the wrong sides together and you're going to stitch around the outside edge. If you have one that has the wave stitch like this Triumph does, then you can use the wave stitch, and that wave stitch is really fun because you probably noticed you get this great two-color edge, and it's really fun. Okay? If you don't have a wave, you can also use a 3-thread stitch and use that. So I am using the Triumph today, so I have the wave, but I have something called Aeroflock, and this is a woolly thread, so when the thread relaxes, it puffs a little bit, so then it will give you a nice effect. Okay, so now we have the machine threaded. I have the Aeroflock up there, and in the needle I have some regular serger thread. So when you're doing a project like this that has curves, it's good to start where it's kind of flat. So start sewing then, and then we're going to work our way around. So what I want to show you is, if you can see here, I'm getting near a curve. And this machine has a knee lift. So as I'm sewing, when I get to the curve, one thing you don't want to do is force it around a curve, because then it just gets messy, right? So I'm going to sew it around, and I have my my wave stitch set at about a 1.25. Now, as I'm getting here, and it doesn't want to really, I can see, you probably can't see, but I can see the fabric is not all the way over to the edge anymore because it's too tight of a curve to just go there. I'm going to use my knee lift, lift that up, and then just pivot the fabric underneath it. Now, isn't that fabulous? So you don't have to move your hands. Did you see I got a little bit of a pucker there? So I just release that, and then I can keep going. And I shouldn't have to readjust or use the knee lift until I get back down to the other corner. And using that word corner pretty loosely because it's really not a corner, it's a curve. But anyway, you're just going to go around it, and when I see it starting to not cooperate, I'm going to relax it a little bit. And I don't want to shove or push too much, because what will happen is I may push it outside of the stitches. Now, one thing you're going to see on here, can you see the little bit of fluff there? You know what, that's going to happen. Just take some scissors and trim that. And part of the reason that happens is because the warp and the weft of the threads in the fabric itself are more resilient going one way than another. So you'll find when you do a rolled hem or a decorative stitch like this that you may have one edge that's a little bit more hairy than another. Okay, when you've come back around, and I'll show you on this bib, when you come back around, you just want to run off the edge. See how I just stitched right off? And then I have what is called a double-eyed needle. It's really big, there's no point on it, but you can come in and just feed it back inside your project and pull it back out the other side, and then just cut it off, and your tail is buried and you're done. So that's how easy it is to serge. Just take your time going around the corners. If you don't have a knee lift like this machine has, just raise your presser foot when you see that you're getting a little bit of resistance, so it can relax that curve, so you have a smooth curve and not some funky corner. Okay, so now you have a project. We've done the little bib here, and I told you in our blog that, or in my tip, that I had a really cool tip on how to get the fastener on here. What I loved about using the serger is that it's quick and it's a really pretty edge, but it doesn't take a lot of time. So then I thought, well, how should I fasten this? Should I put a button? Well, you don't put a button, because what if a kid chokes on it, right? And besides, that defeats the whole quick thing if you're having to sew on a button and make a buttonhole. So I came up with a solution, and the machine helped me. So in buttonholes, like on this one, it's called 4-12. Just about every a lot of machines have it. I can't say every machine, but a lot of machines will have it. But what this is for a bound buttonhole. So it's designed just to do the straight stitch around the little rectangle, so you can cut and flip the fabric the wrong way. But we're going to use it to secure our button. So let's take a look at the machine right here. So we'll go back a little bit over here. I have on the buttonhole foot, and this is the new buttonhole foot for the Luminaire and Solaris. And in the front, it has a little adjustment here. This is my Velcro, okay? And I'm going to make sure that it's a little bit, I can fit my Velcro in there, but I want the buttonhole to be a little bit smaller than that, so I'm just gonna take it in a click or two. Okay, now that's a little bit smaller. And the camera is going to read the size of that position, so that way it will know what size it needs to be. Now I'm going to take my Quilter glue stick, and I'm going to put it on my Velcro, and I'm going to put it right on my fabric, so it will hold it there. And then I'll do the same on this one. Isn't this fancy? I love my glue stick. It makes life so much easier. Okay, so he's on there now. So we're going to put the fabric underneath there, and I have the Velcro on there. Now, one thing to know about the machine is it does sew from the front of the button hole to the back. So have it placed at the forward part. Now, I'm going to stitch. So it's going to stitch down using that cute little stitch that we chose. And then it's going to stop. It stops with the needle down. So then I can just have it repeat and do it one more time, and then that will secure that. Now, it's always a good idea for you to test the size. I could probably have made mine a little bit smaller. And the reason why is because, remember, a buttonhole makes it bigger than the button, and that's supposed to be the button size. So then I have that stitched on there now, and it's not coming off, which is pretty fabulous. Now the glue is going to dry clear, so don't worry about that. And since this is wider, I probably could run another one right there, so that would secure that edge. And then you're good to go. So then just repeat on this side, and then you have it securely stitched. The child can't ingest anything because it's just really locked down on there, and you're good to go. So use the tools that are on the machine and have fun. And it's really a great way to attach your Velcro, because then you don't have to do it by hand or any of that business. So have fun and happy sewing.